Hello and welcome back, everybody. Harkon is here at the beginning of this Rogar realm, and we're about to return the Crystal of Travels to the crafter over here and start with some rune crafting. So let's get underway.
Is this what you were looking for?
No. You see, it was looking for me, and now it's found me.
Will it help me travel dimensions?
No, but it will let me. Should you need any runes crafted, I'll be there for you.
And there we have it. Now we can access the crafter's services at any of the various anvils throughout the game, as well as we're going to unlock all three of these big runes. We get some crappy flawless magic runes, but we also get a flawless luck rune in there, which is very important since the luck runes are some of the best runes in the game. Only even rivaled by the common power, not the common power runes, but power runes in general. I'm just going to be investing a little bit into hopefully getting some better runes here, but it's not terribly important. We've got some luck runes, which was the really big thing, and now we've got some power runes to accompany them. It's going to take us down all the way to 5 runes, and now we can start equipping those. So, you know what? Before we do that, I want to take a moment and head back up to the checkpoint in order to level ourselves up some. That way we can actually make proper use of some weapons that we may not have had access to before. Do we have any attribute shards? We do. Let's use up all of our shards and just dump everything into strength, because we really want to be boosting that at this point. That's going to be our main damage stat going forward. And it also helps with our weight capacity, so any points we can put in there are going to be very valuable as we progress. And now we can... I keep doing this in the wrong order. Now I want to determine which weapons I'm going to use. Codex is an incredibly powerful greatsword, so I'm probably going to be equipping that. How much does it weigh? 4? And the heaviest weapon I have right now is 4.5, and I'm probably not going to use Guardman, because I'd rather use Swing, because it has more damage. So 4 is going to be the weight of my weapon. I've already got my commander shield, and now it's time to assign armor. Griffin's just fantastic. How does full Griffin suit me? Does that work out? I've already got Griffin everywhere else. Okay, I can go into battle with full Griffin set. And in that case, I still need Backbreaker. What if I change out the gloves to Wisdom? Do I still need Backbreaker? I do not. Okay, that's fantastic. So let me just equip runes to this current set as well as my sword, and we should be good to go. Start to equip the runes. Codex is fantastic, not only because it has pretty nice base damages and low strength scaling, but because it has 3 rune slots, which means that when you put in luck runes, its damage goes up by an incredible amount. See, that's already a 50% increase practically. Add in a few more luck runes, and the damage is absolutely incredible, bringing us up from our current Clawfinger, which was at 92 damage, I think, all the way up to a full 170, is just a massive leap forward in the damage output we're going to have. We could also equip Cleric, but I think that we're just going to stick with Codex for now, since it's so powerful at this stage of the game. And now it's time to equip some of the power runes to all of our various armors. Griffin will get our power rune, and the Griffin helmet will get the final power rune. There we go. That puts our armor up to a very high amount, and our damage just increased exponentially. For those of you who are paying specifically close attention, you might recognize this greatsword as well. It's the greatsword that the commander wields, which is really nice since it fits perfectly with the commander's great shield. So it's a very great looking physical setup that we have. It's very thematic. Everything fits together perfectly. Very happy with this armor setup, just in general. But we're going to be taking this on out through the rest of the game and heading back into the regular human realm. It would seem that in our time spent within the pathway, Kaslo has kind of buggered off somewhere else, so we're going to have to head into the Citadel to find him, but we've got this injured man over here who needs our attending.
You need some help.
For that, it is too late. I guess this place is a good place to die.
What happened here?
We escaped through the catacombs. There's an ancient path which leads to the cellar of the Citadel. I did not make it. The others jumped into this open pathway. You were on the other side. Why?
I don't know, reason. Just stopping all this Rogar nonsense that's been out and about.
Stop the Rogar attacks.
So there's still hope. You have to tell Antanas.
I would love
Maybe
to.
then he will stop doing these.
What?
Go on.
Through catacombs. And Tanis, you.
Blech. And so falls random guy number 7. But we ripped the tattoo off his body, so we know that it's a quest item of some description. Now let's see how much the... Ooh, that's a nice bit of damage. Quick little 2-shot on him. Very happy with that. Plenty of damage out of this greatsword. Very happy that we managed to pick it up in the little side loot chamber that came after defeating the abomination in the center of the Rogar realm. And very glad that we actually managed to get some nice luck runes to go with it, because honestly, without the runes, this sword would be only mediocre, because its base damage isn't too great. The real clincher is that it has all the rune slots that we can fill up with luck runes in order to increase our attribute scaling. This warden over here, introducing us to the fact that we're going to be meeting a few more of them as the game goes on. He's no longer a big boss anymore, but now it's time to enter the catacombs that we could have entered earlier in the games, but now for the proper time. It's a pretty simple entrance into the catacombs. We are going to use this here checkpoint just to sort of save our progress, as well as fill up on our last 2 potions, but the catacombs is a very nice maze sort of area. Oh, come on. Come on. I would really like to, you know what, no, we're gonna play this properly and go with a single parry. It's the simplest way to take care of them. It's the best way to do it, in my opinion, but it's still frustrating that we have to swap out to a specific buckler in order to use that. And honestly, that's one of the big failings of Lords of the Fallen, is that the key mappings are pretty awful. Admittedly, I'm playing on a controller, so there's not a whole lot to be done about that, but it's just the plain fact that there simply aren't the option, there simply isn't the option to change certain things or have certain keys perform certain functions. Like, there is no option to cycle through shields like you would have in something like Dark Souls. There's simply no way to map that. You have to individually go into your inventory every single time you want to change what shield you're wielding. And that can get very frustrating very quickly, since it's something that you've kind of got to do pretty often if you're going to be properly taking out certain enemies without using the shield bash cheese tactic. This guy was a sleeping Rogar, so we can just top him off real quick. But as I was saying about the catacombs, it's a very interesting sort of maze-like level with a lot of ambushes, blind corners, and enemies lying in wait to sort of take advantage of you if you're coming in here for your first time. So it definitely pays to advance cautiously if you don't know what you're getting yourself in for. I admittedly have a pretty great sense of everything that's going to be coming up as I progress through, so I don't need to take my time slow. And in fact, that's kind of one of the interesting things about the game, is that while it can take quite a while on a first clear, someone who's not used to the game, what have you, will take quite a bit to finish the game up, especially if they're playing as a completionist. Once you figure out the game and realize the best strategies and pathing for certain objectives or locations, then you can actually start cutting the game pretty short. Like, on one of my fastest playthroughs of the game, and believe me, there have been multiple playthroughs, I managed to
Antanas
beat
is
the
powerful
game.
beyond anything
Oh,
I have
let's wait for
ever
this.
witnessed. He's determined to free this world of evil. He has succeeded in pulling demons out of the bodies of the possessed. Could it be the beginning of an end of evil?
Antanas clearly doing some pretty weird experiments here. This chamber just leads to the start of the location, and it's a great place to restart since that side path that we went down has a bit of a weird loop to it, so you definitely don't want to continue down that way if you're going to be doing a full clear. But as I was saying, I've done many a run of this game at this point, and I've actually managed to get my fastest time, not even speedrunning. I generally like to complete the full game, or at least what I consider to be all the major and relevant quests and morality choices, but I've actually managed to beat it within 4.5 hours, so it's not a ridiculously long game once you have it down. You can actually get pretty fast with it. And again, this is once you're completing all of the sort of mainline quests and whatnot, so it's certainly not something to scoff at. You're definitely paying for a limited experience once you figure it out. And so you're going to find that a lot of the joy of this game comes from the trial and error, the exploration, the getting to know the systems within the game, rather than constantly replaying it over and over, which admittedly I have done, but that's just because third-person action RPGs like this are my absolute favorite genre in pretty much every respect. They can do no wrong. Oh, I mistimed that parry just slightly because I was fiddling with the pause menus, but we can actually lure him into the center of this chamber and he'll fall to his death. It's a nice little trap there. Those planks only give way if you sort of attack them or are way too heavy, and since I wasn't the one triggering them, that was no problem. But as I was saying, sort of third-person action RPGs like this are my absolute favorite style of game. I've come to find in the past months and years, and honestly, this is one of the best that I've played. It's especially games that include a stamina system in order to sort of limit the rampantness of attacks and to keep things from becoming spammy.
Didn't finish the work inside
That's really
corridors.
great.
The ceiling collapsed. We were told to leave it alone as it makes a good shortcut. From the main catacombs entrance, keep heading left. Eventually you will reach the hole in the wall. This might be the shortest way right now.
As you can hear, there's some sort of strange shortcut to be had if we take the proper pathing, but as I was saying, third-person action RPGs like this, really great stuff, and it's the stamina system that really does it for me. Just the fact that you constantly have to be thinking about your attacks, how you're using them, where they're positioning you, and that sort of interplay between mechanics that I just adore. So we're going to be picking up this second
My
log
workers have
and
started rebuilding the
heading
foundations
backwards.
of the West Wing. We thought we knew our monastery inside out. Yes, it contains many secrets, but something like this, we discovered corridors deep in the ground. It looks nothing like the monastery as we know it. Must have been built on something that's much older, maybe even older than the Judge stories.
The end of that previous path is actually the terminus of the level, and you can't access the boss until you clear through pretty much the whole thing, since there is an actual lever mechanic about midway through that you need to access in order to open the gate.
Evil lives in this world. I have to accept it. There is no way to really drive it away. The only thing I can do is channel it into new forms, mutations. They may be our future. Many people will not like this, but they need to see that the alternative is not having a future at all.
Now, here we have an option of several little paths, and I'm actually going to leave most of them for a little bit later in the game, since it's much more efficient to take a very specific route. That way you're not backtracking, which can be a big problem here in the catacombs, since it is so
Some
winding.
people say we punish too harshly. I say it's not even enough. we are still much too forgiving. Whoever commits a crime should be killed right away. After any crime, we'd be rid of all the sinners and would live in eternal peace. But instead, we put them away. In here, and I'm the one who has to take care of them. Care. That's the last thing they deserve.
As you can see, there's a little bit of a weird take on morality here in... Oh, dang it. Oh, this is a soldier? It looked like a juggernaut from a distance, but that's just because they're the big shielded enemies. So, oh, after this guy is a juggernaut, so I'm going to stick with the buckler, but probably not the fastest way to take him on. As I was saying, the catacombs is a very winding sort of location, and if you path it properly, you can actually avoid most of the pretty egregious backtracking, and so that's what I'm going to try and do since I'm actually recording this run. I don't want to be dragging you guys through all the same locations over and over.
Of course. It is a good thing when the evil is eliminated from a person. Evil is gone. But what remains of the person is different. We need to look closer. And personally, I don't know how to treat these people. They seem to behave normally. They walk, talk, but in some way they just seem unreal.
Clearly, Antanas' methods are a little bit strange, to say the least. But there's now this whole new area open to us. We have this checkpoint here, kind of signifying that this is the bridge between two distinct areas. Here we are in the circle of cells that surrounds the pit down below, which is pretty much a guaranteed boss fight for anyone who's played games such as these and knows what to expect with their level design. You can immediately sort out what's coming up next. So the really great part about this, though, oh, do I still have prayer attached? I wanted to switch out to shelter since I'm gonna need some health back.
Seems to have more instinct than mind. It only wants to kill. A few weeks ago, I found a hammer that it seems to fear. The weapon must be imbued with some magic that I don't understand. Such a beast fears it. I have every reason to...
We meet again.
Whoops. Well, as you can see, you can contact the crafter from pretty much any hammer and anvil in the game. However, that does have the unsavory side effect of sometimes dragging you out of certain audio logs if you use it at the improper timing. Suffice it to say that that audio log right there was actually a hint at some treasure that can be grabbed up here in the circle of cells, provided you know where it is. It's actually been bricked up behind one of the cells that has been shut away, so unless you know either where to look or being very thorough, then you're going to have quite the time of it. But it's actually a pretty special secret, so I'm not going to grab it on this run. I'm going to be saving that for my next more in-depth run, since there's an interesting story about it. It's actually how I became interested in the game in the first place, so I'd like to hold off on that, since this is more of an introductory run. And instead I'm just going to clear through this place normally without picking it up. Rest assured, I will cover it in time, so if that's something that you're interested in, you will get your fill, but just wait.
Curse him and his family. I can sit here with murderers and thieves, but I just hate these political activists.
Every single of the audio logs in here just kind of stresses how messed up the morality of this monastery is, and it makes a semblance of sense given that they've gone so far as to kill their god and sort of institute their own new world order, but it's still chilling.
Before imprisonment, every criminal is branded. The tattoo on his face shows everyone his sins, even if someone manages to escape from prison. He won't escape from his own face.
That's just more of the same. There's always something just absolutely heinous going on. You may have noticed we picked up a lever handle prior in the level, and that's going to be useful for this lever here. can slot that right in, but before we do that, we want to talk to this monk over here just to see what's going on.
You are not one of them, are you? Please, please help me.
What exactly is it?
Let me guess. You want me to open your cell?
And then kill me.
Well, there you have it.
It will be easy. Just find the lever nearby to open the door. Then, put me out of my misery.
Why exactly do you want to die so bad?
Kill you.
My flesh has been sullied. I am changing into one of those creatures. Kill me before it's too late.
Well, sounds easy enough. And in case you hadn't picked up on it by now, this is where they really just hand it to you on a silver platter. All of the regular Rogar we've been meeting are actually people who've been infected by the Rogar and are slowly turning into them. So we can cut him down to size. Poor guy. Funnily enough, this is actually the goody two-shoes option. It's still the proper way to do it if you're being a good guy. But that might also prompt you to look into the human skulls you've been picking up, and you realize that they have surprisingly many teeth, which is kind of their way of telling you that these are all skulls of people who were turning into Rogar. It's just an interesting little bit, and that's what's really nice about games like this, is that they're not always heavy-handed with their lore. Admittedly, that scene was pretty blatant, but there's also a bunch of sort of secretive and hidden things that you can pick up on if you're paying attention, and that's always great. Coming from Dark Souls, it's little things like that that really accentuate the wonderful, wonderful combat of this game. And to be perfectly frank, the combat is the reason to play this game. The story is interesting and has its moments, but if you don't like the combat system, this game is not for you. If you are actually looking to get into sort of third-person action RPGs like this, like if you want a way into Dark Souls, just because you've heard of how like incredibly difficult it is, Lords of the Fallen actually makes a really great stopgap because of how it tries to bridge the gap between that incredibly hardcore and mystic lore of Dark Souls and a more simple game. So, very, very nice game in that respect.
The locked and hidden parts of the catacombs could be holding more than secrets and sins we are aware of. One of the Rogar lords leading the raid on Keystone has been spotted inside. He killed many of our soldiers before they even recognized the danger. All we know so far is that he somehow feeds on our rage. Let us feed on his.
Once again, we have a little preview of the boss to come, and then there's this one little encounter over here that we'd like to take care of.
Shh! You'll wake it up. Let me out of here. The jailer's key is right behind you.
No. If you open his door, the sound will wake up the beast in my cell.
What's going on here? What is with you two?
What is going on here?
We've both been trapped inside this prison because of him. He's the murderer, but he keeps putting the blame on me.
That's because you are the murderer.
Ah, not quite the prisoner's dilemma, but let's see.
Just let both of you out.
The sound of the door will wake up the beast behind us.
Only one of us will make it out alive. The one with the open cell door.
Well then, quite the quandary we have here, but as they said, we've got the key to their release, so it's down to decision-making time. Who do we want to let go? Since I played the game before, I know that this guy is the nicey nice non-murderer fellow, but we're still going to release him anyways since we are playing the goody two-shoes path. And if you then open up the other cell, once this guy has died, you can actually loot a trinket off of his body. The Magic Leech trinket, which just gives you a bit of mana every time you kill something. It's not terribly worth it, but it's nice to have in the early game. Huh. One of the Rogar dropped a shard as well. And as you can see, this passage actually loops all the way back around to the terminus of the level. So this is going to be about where we end it. There's a checkpoint down here for us to spend all of our aggregated experience and boost up our strength just a smidge. But this is going to be where we cut it. So thank you all so much for watching. We've got a boss fight coming up next episode, so stay on the lookout. Have a great day, everybody.